next question, Mr. Taylor.
There is no just war teaching in the Old Testament, is there?
Implicitly, wars that are commanded by God are just. Wars that are forbidden by God are unjust. There is no explicit statement about what universal rational criteria justify or disjustify a war.
It's a huge difference between God deciding to put his wrath upon this earth or to spread his kingdom and to call that a just war. There is no word of just war theology in the Old Testament.
There's certainly an implicit theology there because God is just and God commands some wars, therefore some wars must be just.
But that's, you're evading the question now because you've made a distinction between holy war, that's when God commands a war, that's holy war, and just war, that it's not because God commands it, but because you have these principles that you sit down and look at. Now,
well,
in the Old Testament...
No, I disagree. If by holy war you mean simply a war commanded by God,
right,
then you're saying that a thing is good only because God commands it, rather than that God commands it because it's good, and that makes God arbitrary.
Is those Old Testament wars more of God's wrath and judgment on the earth, or is it this just war that we're hearing here portrayed?
They've got to coincide.
Or is there
God is just.
Or is there a development in terms of salvation history from a theocracy, from a theocratic dealing with a covenant people, to all people?
A consistency. All right, so there's no just war teaching in the Old Testament. There's
You've got
no
holy
just,
war.
There's holy war. There's no just war teaching in the New Testament, is there?
Implicitly,
Well,
I think there is.
Sure.
Implicitly.
Sure.
There's no just war teaching in the first 300 years of the church, is there?
There's some
There
controversy.
is
That's a 4,000-year gap in your just war theory.
That's
a bit of an oversimplification.
Okay, who teaches just war in the early church? For Christians. I mean, the discussion is for Christians. Yeah, who teaches?
Well, it existed. There are pre-Christian expressions of it, but it's developed and refined primarily within the Christian moral tradition. And it's first Ambrose and Augustine who, and they are systematic. Mm-hmm. But it begins, and it's germinal, and when you piece together, when you read Augustine's letters as well as the City of God, mm-hmm. and then several...
I think he's asking, though, about the early church for the first 300 years. Is there a person you can...
Are you asking?
Ante-Nicene. Uh-huh.
Ante-Nicene. Yeah, I would say that simply because the church has not permeated all of society yet, it would be unreasonable to expect that some sort of systematic body of teaching or moral principles, if you're looking for that or evidence of that, would even be on display until they become, as a people, socialized and have infiltrated all of the empire.